Okay, everyone, welcome back. PALS TV. I like it, Caitlin. I think that's big. Is that Bigfoot? Um, which is perfect for this next segment. There's so much history in Southern Ohio and across the river in West Virginia. And we've had the pleasure of Ed giving us amazing tours and teaching us so much. But the history is also very interesting as well. And one of the most fascinating parts of Southern Ohio in that story is the Mothman. And today, we're lucky enough to have Brooke and Reagan give us a tour of the Mothman Museum and show us around a little bit. So I'm really excited about this one. It's going to be a really cool episode. So tune in to Brooke and Reagan live from Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
All right, guys, we're excited to be with you today. Like Aaron said, we are in downtown Point Pleasant, and we're going to be telling you about the Mothman. So I don't know if any of you have heard of the Mothman, but you're going to learn all about him and his legacy today. It's actually, yes, kind of this sci-fi-ish edge to things, but it also contains a ton of history for our town and our county. There's all kinds of legends that go along with the Mothman. So yeah, this is going to be a really fun episode, but we have the world's only Mothman Museum right here in Point Pleasant, and we're going to get to go on an inside sneak peek tour for you guys today. So right now, we are outside of the Mothman Museum, and this is the statue, and people come from all over, actually the world, not even just the United States, but to get their picture with the Mothman. As you can see, he has his red eyes up here. He's a winged creature that kind of looks like a man. That's kind of what they would describe. Here's what it reads: the legend of the Mothman. On a chilly fall night in November 1966, two young couples drove into the realized they were not alone. What they saw that night has evolved into one of the great mysteries of all time. Hence, the Mothman legacy began. It has grown into a phenomenon known all over the world by millions of curious people asking questions like, what really happened? What did these people see? Has it been seen since? It still sparks the world's curiosity, the mystery behind Point Pleasant, West. So this was a sculpture that was done by artist and sculptor Bob Roach. And interestingly enough, he is from Mason County. So someone from Mason County actually did this art and sculpting. His name is Bob Roach. He's from New Haven, West Virginia, which is right here in Mason County. So about 20 miles north of here. And the TNT area that I was talking about, that was actually where they would keep TNT back during wartime. So maybe we'll show you that one day. But yes, so here's the Mothman. Now here is the museum. So this is the world's only Mothman Museum. It was established in 2006, and we're going to take you inside. You guys ready to go? Okay. All kinds of people visiting. Here's the storefront here on the side. They sell things here too, like t-shirts, and right there's a glimpse of them. There's all kinds of interpretations of the Mothman, but all of them have red eyes.
So that's one thing in common.
Yes, one thing in common would be the red eyes.
So one thing everyone.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Hello, this is Brittany. You have anything? Have you seen the Mothman?
I haven't, but people in my family have.
Okay, and what is their take on it? Real? Fake? Real in your mind?
Well, they think it was some kind of mutation.
Like a mutation?
Yes, from the TNT.
Was there. They think a bird actually could have possibly, a bird? I don't know, I put that in your mind.
They definitely saw it.
Okay, like your own mom and dad, the story that keeps on going. All right, tell us a little bit about the museum. We're gonna head in here.
Well, we have one who's kind of like a vault theme for Fallout 76.
Okay.
It's, like Mothman and pop culture. Just a lot of good stuff back there.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's go. Okay. So this is kind of neat. Yep. Go ahead and push. Ain't frozen yet? You guys are saying the screen's frozen. Are we still? Okay. Is it? Okay. We have to go back outside. Let's see here. You go blank inside, like would I lose the internet inside? Yeah, you've not really done that. Okay. All right. Are we back? Can you see me now? We're back on the street. Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you guys see us? Still can't see anything. Okay.
Let's go back and chill.
Jeff, do you have Wi-Fi here?
Yeah, but I don't even know what the password
Okay.
is.
Okay.
The password is you might try actually.
Which one is it? Doesn't even say.
It's probably that one right there. That's the one. You might try Ashley.
Capital A or Ashley before?
13. See what happens. That's all. All right, thanks. You can ask Brittany.
Maybe she'll know. Okay. 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 Thank you. Hey, Ashley. Or Ashley. He told me Ashley. Brittany, do you know the password to the internet? It went off in here.
I think Brooke will be back here shortly. She's getting switching to Wi-Fi. Looks like we got her picture back here. We'll give her a sec. Try to. Looks. I like your Bigfoot, Caitlin. Did you name your Bigfoot? I know you always have the best names.
Yeah, Bigfoot's right here. I got it. I don't know where I got it from.
Did you name him?
Not yet.
Not yet?
This one?
Oh, the Yeti.
Yeah, they're changing Splash Mountain's name. Not Splash Mountain, but inside of it.
Okay.
This isn't the frog. I love Bigfoot.
Yeah, I do too.
I like to see this. I saw the shows, the wing ones of the shows on Emma Planet.
Yeah, those were one of my favorite shows.
Yeah. Sometime I have to go to that place she's visiting right now?
The Mothman
Do
Museum.
you guys have me back yet? Do you have me back?
We do.
Wi-Fi here. Yay! Yay! All right, so I'm gonna leave these here. Okay, guys, you ready to go now? Can you still hear me?
Yep. But your camera flipped.
Oh, flipped. Okay, here we go.
Right here.
All right, so this is when it all began. We talked about November 15th, 1966, on a dusty road up in the TNT area that we were describing to you guys. We also have power plants here, which also could have attributed to like the mutation that Brittany was also talking about. So there were old abandoned ammunition plants, and there's something terrifying that people caught their attention. So most people describe it as being 6 or 7 feet tall. And of course, like I mentioned, the red eyes. The wingspan was heard to say it was about 10 feet in width. So it was described as like a man with wings. And this is from Mallet, who was one of the people who did actually have an eyewitness account. And Linda Scarberry, who also was an eyewitness, said it looked something like an angel, but obviously scary. So there you go. This is kind of like a model of the power plant. And this is what we talk about when we say that there was a TNT igloo. This is where they would store, it's like a bunker or an ammo bunker. So this is a diorama of an igloo or the ammo bunker. There's 100 of them spread across the area here in Mason County. All were really well hidden because obviously you wanted the foliage of the area to protect them from aerial attacks during World War II. So there's a diorama of that. Here's some other things that happened in the power plant in that area. We still have power plants here today. So this is really what a concrete bunker, this is a picture of it. This is what it would look like.
It's like covered by dirt.
It's covered by dirt and foliage and grass, and they have thick walls. We've been inside of some of them. This is what it looks like on the inside. There are a few of them that are accessible to the public, and we've been in a couple of them. There are also like ponds up that way as well, so we've gone fishing up there. Okay, so this is an authentic and very rare relic. It was worn by a woman mailroom employee at the West Virginia Ordnance Works facility, which was also at the TNT area during World War II. The color of the jacket, can you read it? It says top secret on her collar. The jacket was signed by all the employees. You can see where the employees were signing. You know, it's kind of like yearbook, or, you know, if PALS wanted to have a shirt, you guys could all sign it and you would know all your friends, people you worked with and hung out with. And it was commemorating their last day of production. So kind of neat there. Here is a relic that was discovered in the TNT area with a metal detector. And you can see some of the railroad strikes that were recovered in that area by neighborhoods in the TNT area. Okay. Right here's actually a Mothman costume that people could wear. So here you go. During the festival, people would wear this kind of like a Bigfoot costume, or if you saw someone dressed up like Spider-Man, here is the Mothman costume. Yeah, go ahead, read it.
Replica of a 1957 Chevy driven by Mothman witnesses Roger Scarberry during the November 1966 sighting.
So there were these younger teenagers, you want to call them, driving around in that TNT area that we were talking about. This was the replica of the car that they were driving. This is what it looked like. It was a 1957 Chevy, and it was driven by Roger Scarberry. This is also a picture of him right here with his car. And this is what he was driving the night that he witnessed the Mothman, the winged creature. You can see here, it's one of the photos in existence of the black 57 Chevy that the two couples rode in on the night that the creature chased them. They said that they were terrified in the TNT area down Route 62 into Point Pleasant. So it chased them that far. And hours later, the Mason County Sheriff's Department here began an investigation, which was the first of many sightings of that winged bird creature. There you go. There was Roger, and that's a replica of his car that they were in whenever the Mothman chased them. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. These are some of the eyewitness accounts. This is even in their own handwriting. Really awesome. This is from Linda Scarberry, one of the couples, one of the lady in the couple. This is her original handwritten depositions. I'm not going to read it all to you. And this was taken immediately after her encounter by the Mason County Sheriff's Department. So this is a real thing. You can see they're numbered, page 1, page 2. She has 7 pages. Whoa. I know, I'll never forget it. I don't think anyone can who has seen it. That's her final sentence. Whoa. And up here they have them actually typed up. So, but this is her same eyewitness account, but it's just been typed.
This is a bunch of pages.
Yes, and this is Mary Mallet. This is her account as well. And she has about, let's see here, is it 5 pages? Yes, you can tell the girls are a little bit longer winded. Because here is Roger's. He has 3 pages. And his ending too was a wingspread of 10 feet. This thing, whatever it is definitely not a crane or a goose or a balloon or any of the things that it has been called. I have seen it and I know what it looks like. Pretty amazing. So I think it's awesome. They have them in their own handwriting. You can even see how they're faded.
That proves that it's real handwriting.
That proves it's real. Yep.
It does.
Okay, here's another Mothman costume. We've got here memorabilia. Here's Point Pleasant, West Virginia. You can see the
Why are they
posters here. This is the State Theater, which is kind of part of the story as well, downtown Point Pleasant. Here's some art that different artists have done in their portrayal. Mothman. They also have a documentary playing while you're in visiting the museum. Okay. Reagan, go up in here, get your head in here. This is where you can get your picture, right? The world's only Mothman museum. Get your face through there. There's Reagan. The Mothman's chasing her. You can see they've got a person's body running and the Mothmans are close behind. This guy kind of looks mean, but. Okay, so there's also a part of the story that is called the Men in Black. So I'm going to read you a little bit about that. So they're dressed in all black. They've got their hats on, their sunglasses. Who were these persons unknown that frequented the small town of Point Pleasant? Well, let's start with the description of the Men in Black. They are said to drive a large and always black, old-fashioned car that resembled like a Lincoln or a Cadillac. It had strange logos on it and insignias. The Men in Black were always impeccably dressed from head to toe in black suits, white shirts, black ties, black shoes, which all appeared to be perfect in their appearance. Their hair was also jet black and shiny, and their skin is said to be without blemish, and some reports have stated that they were almost translucent-like. They're said to have dark features. Some were reported as having an Oriental or Eastern European look with expressionless faces and movements that sometimes appear to have been robotic in their nature. They usually traveled in groups of 2 or 3 and had a knack for knowing things about the witnesses that they taunted, things that only the witnesses that saw the Mothman knew. There were even reports of them being masters of illusion by way of being able to make themselves appear and disappear without a trace. Some of them were thought to be aliens. Some thought they were government agents. Some thought they were from a spiritual realm. Whoever they were, they left a strong impression on those who witnessed those mysterious men when they roamed the streets of Point Pleasant. So these are watch your back for the Men in Black. Do you guys know that there is a Mothman movie? The Mothman Prophecies. It's a legit movie that you can rent or watch on, I don't know if you can get it on Netflix. It may be on Netflix. I'm not sure where. But you can watch it. It's on sometimes just on TNT or TBS, different places you can catch it too on your TV. But it's called the Mothman Prophecies. So you might want to look into that. I think, is it Richard Gere it stars in it? Can't remember. David will tell me if he's on here. He knows his. And Jonah knows his movie.
Yeah,
his
it's
movie
Richard
buff, too.
Why did
Gere.
it say Mothman, the West Virginia Bigfoot?
Is it Richard Gere? Okay. So there's some other memorabilia here. You can tell that it was a big deal of news in the area. There were writings back and forth. And this is, they're calling it the Mothman's version of or the Point Pleasant version of Bigfoot, the West Virginia version of Bigfoot. Some different computer thumbnails. I think this is kind of a neat graphic that someone has done. Here's the Men in Black, and this is a different take on them. See how they're kind of like skeletal-like in their faces, the Mothman. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Were the Men in Black government? Were they aliens? What do you think? You think they were government sent here to kind of keep this hush-hush with the TNT stuff going on? And maybe, I don't know.
How fake that is. Looks like Dad.
So we've talked a little bit about the bridge disaster, the bridge falling in Point Pleasant. There's been a lot of reports that like the Mothman was seen under the bridge as it was falling, or just kind of like that he's been around whenever there's been tragedy in the area. And this looks like a document that says UFOs and the bridge disaster. So there's some more here about the lights flickering for 10 seconds. And then the telephone company had a warning bell that went off. And after that, we experienced a major tragedy with traffic was building up on the Silver Bridge. And then as it was suspended over and right in front of the Mason County Courthouse at the end of Main Street. And it was a very popular time of year. This happened in December. So people were giving Christmas gifts and that kind of thing. So, and there were said to be like little gifts were floating in the river once it fell too. But a lot of people have stipulated or speculated, not stipulated, that the Mothman or UFOs were a part of that. So, the secrets of the universe. Okay, let's see here. Outer Limits. What strange creature is this? This little comic book that's
It looks
been
like a bug.
put out. This one kind of looks more like a bug. Spacecraft News. This was original, like when people were coming to the area. They didn't know that this is going to be, they would need a little bit bigger of a Mothman guest book in years to come. Some newspaper clippings you're going to see. Shades of Mothman in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. UFO sightings. Is Mothman like Batman? He makes a visit to the city. Could he just be a crane? That was kind of one of the theories going around. Mason County's bird was known far and wide. This is like a bird story that was going around. In November 19, Pacific Edition, a 2-column headline, Red-Eyed Creature Reported in West Virginia. It drew attention of many servicemen that were in Vietnam. Flying Saucer Convention, it was mentioned at that was held in New York City. So the Mothman has definitely gotten around, I guess you could say. Okay. You guys still with me? This is like a lady giving her eyewitness experience. And like I said, we have 8 eyewitnesses that have actual documentation of them seeing it and the winged creature and describing it. And all of them were very similar in what they said about the Mothman. This is what a TNT container looked like. It had the black powder inside of it. Known today in this TNT area, manufactured dynamite and ammunition that was during the World War II. These containers held the contents of black powder, a necessary ingredient needed to produce TNT and DNT, and were stored in the TNT area igloos. The storage of such material was a known high risk. This is why each igloo was constructed with thick concrete walls to prevent an explosion chain reaction to the other igloos nearby. So the question is, why was the Mothman known and seen in that area? And then on top of that, why were these men in black kind of after the people who would see the Mothman? Anyone who had a sighting also had they would know a lot about their lives, these men in black. Where were they from? Who were they? What were they doing here? And yeah, so here's a little bit about John Kill. He was here to uncover these mysteries and myths. He was investigating this, and he was the author that died from the Mothman prophecy. So there you go. He studied this, developed it, helped with even the festival organization throughout the years until he died in 2009. Here is Jeff Walmsley. He actually owns this museum, and he wrote this book.
Younger.
Yeah, he's a little younger. He always still has his long hair, right? But he wrote this book, Mothman: The Facts Behind the Legend. And he owns this museum and also puts on the festival every year. We have a Mothman festival and brings in thousands of people, like I said, from all over the world. I've met people here from Germany and people from California. They would come and spend the weekend. So it's pretty amazing. This is about where the waters mingle, which is what we've talked about, the Twinweed Park. Remember, we've said this is where the waters mingle. And they're talking a little bit about the bridge again and its collapse. Okay.
Here.
Yep, this is a diner sign. There was a diner downtown Point Pleasant. This is Carolyn Harris was the owner. She actually passed away either just last year. Anyway, she owned Harris Steakhouse, and the patrons would come in and talk about a lot of these theories. So she kind of heard all the details. You know what I mean? Like when you go into the diner, she's the mother that was there greeting you and smiling, and she heard all of people's business, a little bit like a hairstylist, you know? So she was hospitable, and she worked really hard. She was passionate about business in this area and events happening in Point Pleasant, but she served on the board of directors at Main Street and was really, really, really heavily involved in tourism here. So she was a part of also the festival I was talking about, which has actually now it's reached more than over 10,000 attendees from all over the world. So it was really sad for us when she passed away. Here's a sample of her diner. Actually it's not a sample, but these are chairs really from it. But this is kind of a little take on what it would look like. So very old Harris Steakhouse, you can see up there, just the diner feel. And there's the Mothman. Yep, Harris. It does have a public telephone over here. You know what that is? I'm surprised you know what that is. That's a payphone. No one has. Does anyone remember a payphone?
No.
We have these cell phones now, right? So we don't really think about that anymore. The Mothman legend. Here's a driftwood. So this is a bird shaped out of driftwood here, and it was wood that was found right here on the Ohio River bank. So kind of neat that a bird shaped driftwood came up, right? And the movie versus reality. So the Mothman prophecies offered obviously a different side of things, and I mean, it's Hollywood, right? They have to make some things different. So I'll read you a little bit about that. The Mothman prophecies differed in reality when compared side by side to the real Mothman legend. The actual events that took place here in Point Pleasant in 1966 and not in current modern day times. In the movie, 36 people died on the Silver Bridge collapse, when in reality, 46 people perished when that bridge fell on December 15th, 1967. The movie also said that the cause of the collapse was never explained, but it was actually later proven that there was a crack in the 13th eye bar, and that was the reason for the collapse. So they kind of left that up for your imagination whenever in the Hollywood version. On numerous occasions, John Keel, the director, writer, producer, received several strange phone calls with odd sounds and warnings about the impending disasters that would come, and the movie portrayed Richard Gere, his character, in the same way, although John Keel did not have any interaction with Indrid Cold. The dreams about Christmas present their presence floating in the body of water did actually happen. I was telling you guys that. It was local reporter and close friend of John Keel, her name was Mary Heyer, who had these strange apparitions. And when the bridge collapsed, it was during rush hour traffic, which was 2 weeks before Christmas, and it was a peak holiday shopping time. So that is why so many people were on the bridge, and it was backed up and stopped. In fact, it was John Keel who wrote the book, The Mothman Prophecies, and in the movie, Alexander Leek is Keel spelled backwards. See that? L-E-E-K, K-E-E-L. Interesting fact is the movie was filmed in Katanning, Pennsylvania, and no scenes were actually filmed in Point Pleasant, but they did actually visit here and take notes and make sure they were in character as much as possible. The Point Pleasant Police and Fire Department vehicles and personnel were actively used as extras and props in the movie though, so that's pretty cool. That's the movie versus reality. And here are some, we were talking about the UFO and the Indrid Cold on November 2nd, 1966 on I-77 near Parkersburg. These are the tapes of the interview. Here's some more articles. You know, here up here you have like an idea of the crane that the Mothman would believe to be the Sandhill crane. Sandhill is an area here in Point Pleasant, and this is talking about it being a crane. There's the UFO activity. A UFO was actually sighted kind of near the area, Camp Conley, which is also near where Mothmans were reported to be seen. The red-eyed creature, this is a paper. Look here, the red-eyed creature reported in West Virginia, Point Pleasant. It's like an Asian paper, pretty cool. Couples say they saw a 6-foot, 100-mile-per-hour bird. Tells the story of the couples that were in that Chevy we talked about, and how they were going speeding out of the TNT area. It says here, I'm a hard guy to scare, Scarberry told the newsman, but I was for getting out of there. If I'd seen it myself, I wouldn't have said anything about it, but here were 4 of us who saw it, Scarberry said. After the first sighting, the men said the thing glided above the car until they reached Route 62 in West Virginia. Then it disappeared. The 4 drove downtown Point Pleasant, and when it turned around, there it was again. It seemed to be waiting on us. They went to the city limits, saw the creature again when the car headlights were put on it, and they scurried into the field, and it disappeared. They went straight to the sheriff's department and started investigating and put out the report. He did emphasize that none of the 4 had been drinking, because, right, that's kind of what we'd be thinking. Were they drunk? Were they high? They really see this thing, but the sheriff said they were not drunk. Here is the names of the people who died in the Silver Bridge collapse. So, like I said, there were 45 or 46 of those. Here is a picture of the bridge. This is what it actually looked like. It's an old, kind of like here's another good side view of it. You guys can see it. Mason Countyans hunt the Mothman. Here's the bridge, as you can see where it fell and all of the leftovers here, different parts of the bridge. It was just a really big tragedy. And they've had a lot of dedications of the bridge, and here's some of it coming out the water. It was a hard time to be around here. It was sad because it just was Christmas time, and see, here's some more of that. So this is all dedicated here in the museum to the Silver Bridge collapse. The Coast Guard came in minutes after the disaster. They were called. So Jonah and Hector could have been on call. Like, Jonah, you were just born at a different time. You could have been here. You would have liked that. So there's the old Silver Bridge. Here's a traffic sheet of it, and you can see the drawing, the bridge. This is from the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Look how heavy that was.
This is a diving helmet that would have been
How did they
used
come
to go under. Yep.
How'd they come up?
There was some memorabilia from the Red Cross who was called in to help with the emergency services, and also a patch that you would receive for the Silver Bridge disaster. 70 vehicles were plunged into the river and 5 bodies recovered. Here's a section of the steel beam from that bridge. Some of the bridge cable was actually used in the film of the Mothman prophecies. Kind of neat. And this was a light. This actual light was used during the filming of the Mothman prophecies. And there's the Mothman on top of the Silver Bridge. The replica, a diorama of that.
So the bridge collapsed on boats.
Not necessarily, but it's just showing that it's water. And these cars fell into the water, not specifically, but just giving you an example. And the Mothman was reported to have been seen.
So
What?
there's like, you know how you cross the river? It's like, Ohio welcomes you.
Right, this was a decal used during the movie, the Mothman Prophecies, when it was filmed in March of 2001. So that emergency symbol was used in that. More Silver Bridge stuff, the Sheriff Department. This is actually a menu from the coffee shop here that we're talking about. The Mothman now invades Pittsburgh. So, you know, when they were filming, they did it in Pennsylvania. So the Mothman also became very popular there as well, to invade that area as they were filming for the Mothman prophecies. So there's Richard Gere. Okay, so here's some more things from the police department. These were things that were used in the film. These cake stand right here and these holders were in the coffee shop in the scene in the movie. These are ones that were actually used.
So I guess the Mothman was spotted in the limestone.
This is the watch. Ooh, here we go. Stuff worn by Richard Gere while he was in the movie The Mothman Prophecies. There's his cherry flavored chapstick. He's got some lip balm prop there, his watch, and then also this pendant that has, it's Harley Davidson, but see the Mothman on there. These are some phones that were used. This is a telephone used by Richard Gere to talk in some of the motel scenes. There's a camera they were using to film in the film of trying to catch the Mothman. There's another one. Here are some of the license plates that they used as well in the movie. The Mothman test effect. This is a smashed glass that was used in Deborah Messing's car during the car crash scene. So this is what it would look like for the Mothman to smash into your car windshield. It's kind of cool.
That's creepy stuff.
These are creepy, huh? These are a collection made from an artist that drew them for the movie, The Mothman Prophecies. There are some scarier versions here, like the space, and then there's some kind of flitterings, very dark. You've got some with red. Kind of creepy, huh? This one was used, Ruin. Different sketches that were used. The Mothman movie was rated PG-13. And here we go with a magazine article about the Mothman. The Mothman cometh. So it's about the reporter who was played by Richard Gere. Here's some of the clothing that the police officers and sheriff's department were using in the movie as well. See what this is. It's a can of paint. Let's check this out. This is the paint can that was carried by Gordon out of the paint store when he was talking to Richard Gere, which was playing John Keel. So there's the black paint. This is a movie poster that was signed, and they have it here now in the museum, signed by all of the actors in the movie. This is the blanket that came in contact with both Richard Gere and Deborah Messing in the motel scenes from the movie The Mothman Prophecy. And here's just some other Mothman figures.
David Howard created the ugly dolls. Made KG for grown-ups.
These were like ugly dolls, huh?
So the
You just see
movie,
different ways that they were played, all kinds of memorabilia. Look, a VHS tape. You guys have those? Ooh, Mothman droppings that are gathered near Point Pleasant. So Mothman must poop. I don't know, Ray. I think it's
Everything
big poop or a little poop.
everything poops.
It's healthy to poop, right? All
I don't
kinds
know
of
about
little
fish.
figures.
There's like, look at
Here's one, a witness sketch artist. This is what she witnessed, encountered the night that she saw the Mothman. Her name was Faye DeWitt, and she sketched the creature that she had seen. This is the one the closest to capturing what it resembles to actually look like the Mothman.
It looks like a bird and a wolf.
A
went
bird and a
together.
man, right?
No,
A wolf? Okay.
like this bird.
No, you're fine. So, large bird reported flying over the area on Tuesday evening. So how appropriate that we would be here on a Tuesday. Reagan, it's your turn to go. We would be here on a Tuesday, and it was a Tuesday evening that they actually witnessed for the first time the Mothman chasing them in that car. So you guys have any questions or anything you all want to see?
So,
Yeah,
so
we got
Brooke,
some questions.
we know that we have the movie, we have the museum. Do they do tours like through town or anything like that?
Yes. Okay. So they actually do schedule, like you can even schedule a tour. If you have a group where you could online come into town, they have like a couple different tour buses that they would put you on. And then you would come to the museum. You would also travel through Main Street. We have several shops downtown. Then they take you like all the way up to the TNT area so you can see what we're talking about, like the old power plants. You can get out and get into an igloo and actually see what that looks like, experience that. And they kind of take you where the bridge fell. I mean, you kind of get just the eyewitness experience of what it was like in this area, and they take you to all those destination spots. So it's really cool. Sometimes you can be on the tour with Jeff Walmsley, who I was talking about, wrote the book and who owns the museum. So yeah, it's something you can do. Plus you can do it during the festival. This year, due to COVID, they've had to cancel the festival. So that's really kind of yucky, but they're just playing it safe. And so they just can't wait for 2021. Hopefully it'll be bigger and better than ever. They've actually had several different monster or hunter types, sci-fi hunters that have come to the area who will like sign books or have different displays up during the festival. That's another draw that they have. Also vendors. I mean, there's Mothman pancakes and there's Mothman cookies and anything Mothman you can think of to sell. And they also have a lot of bands that come into it's like a festival. Yeah.
Have you or Dave ever done like the tours or seen anything crazy?
Yeah. One of the first couple years of the Mothman Festival starting out, I mean, it's a huge deal now, but in the beginning, David drove one of the tour buses, kind of like a PALS van, like one of those shuttle type things. And I was a tour guide, so we got to get on the like, welcome aboard, folks. So it was kind of fun. But in the area, people could also drive up. So people were driving their cars up to the igloos that I was talking about in that TNT area. And we were all day going on these tours and taking our own buses up. But people were also driving their own cars up because they didn't want to take the tours. Well, on one of our second or third trips out to one of the igloos, someone had actually pooped on the side of like right on our path towards the igloo. It was disgusting, like totally fresh poop. I don't know. Could have been. There were flies on it. It was gross.
It was a scary tour. I mean, they could have just happened out of fright.
Hey, we just went with it. We added to it. Yes, people loved it actually. So we have other questions?
Yeah, I was expecting a sighting there and not human droppings. So
see, Aaron would have been disappointed.
Beth Ann, do you have a question? I saw your hand up.
What's Beth Ann's question? Do you have a question, Beth Ann?
Yes. What kind of history in West Virginia back then when the bridge collapsed?
What was it?
What was the history of the bridge collapsing?
History?
Yes, in West Virginia.
Well, in the type of bridge, I will say this. There were a couple of those bridges that were built in this area. It was like a suspension type bridge. And after that bridge fell due to that faulty, remember they found something that was faulty in the 13th, whatever, of the bridge. They actually went and built a new bridge in the other area where they had just built one of these bridges because they were thinking these are not stable bridges. So I think it was in Parkersburg. So just a little bit north of here, they had to redo another bridge because they were like, great, this one fell and had a faulty part in it. We think this one does too. So they had to do that as well. So as far as history goes, I mean, it's just that it's built into the Point Pleasant history. I mean, it affected a lot of families. A lot of people remember it. Even 20 and 30 miles out of town, because this is in town, my dad remembers, my own dad remembers their electricity going off and flickering. It was a pretty big thing that, when it fell, it actually really did shake things up here.
Wow. Well, that's just a fascinating story with so many different topics in it. And you talk about it's a national story with a historical tragedy involved in it. I mean, that's a lot of people to lose their lives in one situation. And then get into the conspiracy theory of the Mothman and why it happened, and throw the Men in Black in there.
Right.
Crazy in itself. Then who knows? Chief Cornstalk's curse, which we've learned.
Right. It all ties together.
All just ties together to make an incredible story, and that's why Hollywood jumped all over it.
Right. So people have asked me if I've ever seen the Mothman, and I have never seen the Mothman, but I truly believe that people saw a winged creature, and I believe it had red eyes. So whatever that was, I really believe that they did see something.
There was something there. Who knows what it was, but there was definitely something. And
That's right.
the museum's got a lot better too. It seems. I went there a couple years ago, and it feels like it gets better every time you walk in.
Yes.
All right, and Dave
So if
actually.
you guys are ever in the area, definitely want to visit downtown Point Pleasant. You know, right out here, I showed you the murals. I mean, this area is full of things to do. The mansion house where we went inside, that's also right down the street from here. So get your picture with the Mothman, check out the wall, and then head to the mansion house, and then you can have lunch with the coffee grinder. Sounds like a day.
That is a day. That's very cool. And Dave's even put on a Mothman week down for our PALS Gallia program, where the entire week was built around Mothman activities. And then at the end of the week, they went on their own personal tour, which very cool. So thanks, Brooke.
Yes.
Thanks, Reagan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, that wraps up our tour of the Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, with Brooke and Reagan. That's for our Gallia County program. Next, we're going to head over and join our friends in Columbus and have a segment with Phil. So stick with us here for our lunchtime hour on PALS TV. We'll be back in about 15 minutes. See you soon.